Yeah, and I think we put so much pressure on ourselves for everything. I'm just even looking at our title, Improve Your Capacity for Change. We put so much pressure on ourselves to do and be somebody is the other thing.
Absolutely. It's like where is that pressure coming from, right? Because that's why I'm saying is to really kind of come back into checking in with you, right? And not comparing yourself to other people or what you think other people think you should be doing or not doing.
Debz is a stressologist. She will stretch your mindset to think bigger than you've ever thought before, with follow-through techniques that are realistic and achievable to blow any fear out of your mind. Moira is a mindset cultivator. She will help you align your personal trinity of self-trust, inner awareness, and self-confidence so that you discover and share your unique gifts and purpose. Together, their goal with these conversations is to share how our inclinations do not always work in our best interest and to provide the knowledge to leverage the gifts that already exist within each one of us. Their desire is to help you learn how to access the habits and behaviors that will lead to positive change and your best quality of life. Welcome to your deliciously motivated mindset.
Welcome, welcome, welcome. Welcome, dear Deb. Welcome, dear listeners. How are you, my dear?
Welcome. Yay. Today is a goodie.
I know,
I'm great.
We always say that, but I swear they get better and better as we go along.
and I think so too. And I think today's going to be I'm going to say profound for me. And you.
And me. Big time for me. Absolutely. And also, I think because we are recording this in the month of November, there feels like so much change happening in this month also. So for a lot of us, because we're starting to wrap up this 2021 thing.
I know, I can't believe it. It's freaking quick.
I know.
When I look back, I'm like, oh, what was I doing last Christmas? I remember that clearly. And then you're like, oh, Christmas.
Yeah.
Christmas.
Oh gosh, that's just around the corner.
I know. I haven't put my Christmas tree up yet.
Yeah, no. Well, we'll see.
Yeah.
So we're going to be talking about improving our capacity for change. But before we get into that, we're going to do our little check-in and rate ourselves on a scale of 0 to 10. So 10 being, holy crap, I can't do this change thing at all, and I don't know what to do. And 0 is just really being very in the moment, being aware where you are, blissed out, zened out, all that lovely stuff.
Oh, that sounds beautiful.
So nice. So,
I'm a 4.
That being said, you're 4. Okay.
Actually, no, I'm going to say I'm a 4.5. I'm actually a 4.5.
Okay.
Because I've got a headache, I've got a sore neck, I've got a headache across the forehead. It's a bit interesting one to see how we shift. I just feel my body feels very heavy.
Okay.
Yeah.
Okay.
Wow, 4.5. That's probably a biggie for me.
Yeah, it's a biggie for you. So for me, I'm going to put myself at 2 because I got a lot of change going on. So I'm proving to myself I got a good capacity for change. But as always, I'm intrigued at what kind of rabbit holes are we going to go down. I always have so much fun with these conversations. And so what we would encourage our listeners to do also, this is just a check-in. Where are you? Where's your mental, emotional state at? And then we're going to check in again with you at the end to see, did it shift? Did it go up or down? And please don't compare yourselves with either of us. It's about really telling yourself the truth about you and seeing, do you need to focus a wee bit more on your breathing, hand over your heart and take some deep breaths? Or do you need to just do something to create that wee pause to say, how am I? And then just move on from there. Sometimes just saying, how am I is the pattern interrupt that we need to kind of recalibrate and stay the course.
I love that. I love that pattern interrupt. I absolutely love that pattern interrupt because it just makes you stop and think. Yeah. It just makes you stop and go, you're right.
Yeah. Yeah, absolutely.
We just need to pattern interrupt that. Yeah.
Because we all have so much capacity and resilience, capacity for change and resilience. It's just that we need to find our right rhythm so that we can flow, right?
Yeah, and I think we put so much pressure on ourselves for everything. I'm just even looking at our title, improve your capacity for change. We put so much pressure on ourselves to do and be somebody is the other thing.
Absolutely. It's like where is that pressure coming from, right? Because that's why I'm saying is to really kind of come back into checking in with you, right? And not comparing yourself to other people or what you think other people think you should be doing or not doing.
Yeah, and I think we think that's so simple, but it's actually not.
There's so many layers to that, isn't there?
Yeah. I just want to reiterate, don't compare yourself to us.
Yes, please.
I hear, were you a 2 or a 2.5? What was yours?
I was a 2.
2, yeah. So just even hearing that, and the reason I say this is because I'm saying a 4.5. When Moira did say 2, I was like, oh, she's a 2. Of course she's a 2. She's juggling way more than you and she's a 2. And then I went, did you just compare yourself to Moira? Did you just do that? I know. So when I say that to the listeners here, I'm also saying it to myself, don't compare yourself to Moira or me, 4.5. But improve your capacity for change. The word improve is a win-lose word in my mind.
Yeah, it is a wee bit of a labeling piece, isn't it? Yeah. Because go ahead.
Yeah. I think there's a slight smidgen of a delay each time here.
Yeah.
But I think that improve is a word that means we're not sitting in true to who we are right now. Right. That we're actually magnificent right now, and we do want to improve. And there is always something to improve on. Absolutely love who you are now, but don't let the grass grow underneath you. Is when I hear that word improve. To me, improve means, oh, I'm not happy with where I'm at. I've got things to do to change. Right. Yes, but also, whereas and I know Moira and I say, love yourself for who you are right here, right now. And most people do say that. So when we say improve, it's really contradicting what we're saying, if this makes sense.
Well, yeah. And so maybe it's to look at other words to kind of dub into that, because maybe up level would be a better one. Because if you're on one level and it's great, but there is one thing that we all know is the constant in life, is change.
Yeah. Yeah.
And so that's what this is to look at how can you embrace it, flow with it, be okay with where you're at and all the different steps that present themselves as you flow with that, right?
Yeah. And I think the thing is just knowing that, and I guess it goes back to that comparison, knowing that your up level will be different to someone else's up level.
That's right. And this is all about doing the inner work, because it's yours. Yep. It's not about how it's looking on somebody else, right?
And I absolutely. And I think with that is that whole comparison can just make such a downhill spiral for you. Now, I know you must look at other people and compare. There is that level of that. Absolutely. When you compare someone, you can go, oh, that's what they're doing. And you can decide if that's something you'd like to join in on or not join in on. And it's just your litmus test to go, okay, my body's saying join in, don't join in. What's really going on, and you can pick and choose. Or
is there an attribute that you want to bring in and have it as your own? Right? Because sometimes you can see that in somebody else. You go, oh, look at their nails. I really like that. I'm going to see if I can get them done like that too.
By the way, we've both got glitter nails.
Yes, we do.
We've had that conversation before we got on this call. We solved the universe with our glitter nails.
Yep. I'm being silly there, but but do you know what I mean? It's like, absolutely, you can see attributes and go, oh, I really like that. And of course, if once we get into that place of, oh, I really like that, it means you have the capacity for it too. Otherwise, you wouldn't see it.
And I think the thing is, by going, I really like that. Oh, I don't do that. Oh, I'm a loser. I'm, that's not what we're talking
That's
about.
not what we're talking about.
Yeah, and it's not, and yeah. So it is that whole, oh, I think that's a great idea. I'm going to go buy that, or I'm going to go do that. Like that's, but not to, oh, I can't afford that, or I can't do that. Not to put you in the pit,
right.
in the cesspit when we compare ourselves. So, yeah.
And that could be a navigational tool, right? Because then you want to steer yourself in the direction of oh, I like that. Let's try that.
Yeah.
As opposed to, oh, I haven't got that. So what's wrong with me?
Yeah.
Right?
Yeah. Yeah. That's a perfect way of saying that, navigational tool. And so the comparing can happen, just not to the detriment of your soul.
Exactly.
Yeah.
Yeah. Because you deserve your own loving acceptance of as you are, right?
Yeah. Yeah. And I think that's exactly with that up leveling or improving your capacity for change, is actually just being aware.
Mm-hmm.
And then you can decide, like just going, oh, that's interesting. Oh God, I'd never do that. That's okay. Or,
That's right.
Oh, definitely I'd do that. Like there's people on here who probably don't like glitter. I don't know why you're on our podcast though. Just saying. But
no, we should.
Something
this
wrong
is
with
part
you.
Of the club.
Yeah.
Part of the club.
Yeah, that's the one. That's the one. Absolutely. Purple, glitter, and gold. There you go. Absolutely. But I think when you look at those things, it's just that step one. And I'm sure we talk about awareness. I think awareness comes into
almost every topic we do. It is so fundamental.
I'm thinking it is.
Yeah.
Because once you're aware, you can decide what you do with it. Like you can just go, nah, I ain't dealing with it, or I'm going to park it, or, oh my God, I'm going to deal with it right now, or whatever.
Or I'm just going to sit in it for a bit.
Yeah.
And that's okay.
Like that. Yeah. So that whole improve or up level your capacity to change. Step one, aware. Open your freaking eyes.
Yep. And that's the thing, is just being truthful and kind to yourself about what is it? How are you embracing this change? Right?
Yeah.
And be aware.
Yeah. And then you can and then you don't have to beat yourself up. And it's that whole mental mind chatter that can take you to a dark place very quickly, depending on your mood. Your mood. So I'm just thinking of how quickly you can spiral into that dark place.
It does happen real quick if you're not careful.
And as Moira said to me before, when I said, oh, this is happening and this is happening, she said, you need to deal with that pretty much soon, because it's going to keep, she didn't say it's going to keep spiraling, but I'm going, oh no, to deal with it, because other people are just going, what's happening?
What's happening? And well, that was the point, was what we're saying, is that when you know that thing about when there's a void of the unknown, we all make up stories.
Oh, yes.
Yeah.
Oh, okay.
And you just, you want to nip that in the bud, because actually that's a really good part of that capacity for change too, is that because, somebody, if you're in a funk about something and somebody feels that, we all feel each other's vibes, right? Yeah. And so somebody around you might go, oh my God, she's pissed off with me, or she's upset with me, or I know what it is. This is what's pissing her off.
This is 3 weeks ago. I didn't put the tea towel in the right spot.
Yeah, something like that.
What?
The capacity for change could be as simple as just acknowledging, oh, there's a void here and I need to tell that person what's really going on.
Yeah.
And then allowing harmony to be, because change can happen in a harmonious way, but it means speaking out what's going on, not hiding.
Yeah. I think, and the word procrastination comes into play, and I'm thinking about procrastination, and the reason I say that is because, and I say it in my business, is when you do the task or when you speak up or when you do that, like it's way heavier in your mind, weighing over and over and over again than actually doing the task. And then you think, oh, this is going to take me 3 hours to do. And then 20 minutes in, you're like, it's done. Like it's that done. Can't be like, then, and you're looking around going, where's the rest of the stuff I've got to keep doing?
Right.
No, it's done.
Yeah.
And so when you know that it's done, there's a different, oh, right. And then you can actually tackle other things. So it's that, and it does come back to that procrastination is, oh, put this off or put this off. It's too hard. I don't know how to do it, or I have to ask somebody, or I need to get help, or all these stories that weigh so heavily.
But that actually brings up a really good point, is that's the key piece about firing your mind. Because the procrastination is, oh, it's going to take so long and I don't want to do this and this sucks. And it's just a story.
Yeah.
Whereas if you just go, deep breath, let's go do it. And then to your point, it's like, oh yeah, you got made up some story. It's like, oh, it's going to take forever. I need all these resources. I need all this stuff. And then you go and just do it. And it's like, oh, 10 minutes later, look at that. Who knew?
I know. And it is, but then you come back and you want to get yourself to that point of laugh. Look, I'm a laugher.
Yes,
well, in fact, Moira and I, well, I'm a snorter actually. Moira's a laugher. I'm a snorter and a laugher. But when you get yourself to that point, and you get to that point, and you go, "Oh my God, I'm laughing so much that took me like 3 months to get done," and you just have to laugh at that stuff. So when you recognize and you acknowledge there's another procrastination step, or whatever you want to label it, when you never get to that, capacity to change, and you look at it and you go, oh, this is just one of those things again, isn't it?
Yeah.
But you must, the moment you recognize that as, and you can label it procrastination, or you can label it capacity to change, or you can label it whatever you want to label it. But the moment you recognize that again, is like, oh, this is one of those things like that I held on to for 3 weeks and I never told them that they had put the tea towel in the right place. I say that laughingly. I don't think we've had discussions about tea towels in the house. So God help me, in the next 24 hours, I'm probably going to have one.
Oopsie.
Yeah, but it does get to that point, and this is this whole thing. And then if you can actually look at that and laugh at it, next time when you get to putting a crazy ass story on there, you can then go back and go, oh, this is this tea towel all over again.
Remember
oh my
this.
God.
Yeah, exactly. Yeah.
And I think the more, because these are absurd, and I am going to say your mind is absurd sometimes. The stuff that just runs. And you're like, how did I get from that to that story?
I get that? Absolutely.
And 3 weeks later, it's still not done. And I think the key is it's the awareness again.
It is the awareness. And so, something that I think, as I was just feeling into as you're saying that, is sometimes those stories is actually because we've got this sort of inner resistance to change. Like, hey, steady on, put the brakes on.
Oh, yeah.
Right? No, it's got to be just this way. It's always been this way. And so sometimes would perhaps be a really good just a little flag to put up is like you were saying about, how on earth did I get to this story, or how on earth did I get over here with this scenario? Is it just because I'm actually being resisty to changing and flowing and increasing my capacity for allowing things to change?
I think I have said this many times in the last year. This has been a year of pivot.
Absolutely, it has. Yep.
And pandemic pivot. But it's been an absolute year of pivot. It's been a year of pivot for friends, for your business, eating patterns, for business, for your finances, for your family, for people you thought were friends and not friends, or people coming out of their shell who've never spoken up about anything have spoken up. This has definitely been a year of pivot. When you think you've got it right, you have to pivot again, because something else comes in and sideswipes you. Yeah. And
that's why about being aware and present, right? Is so important with this.
Yeah. And this is we are in a we know we've always been in an ever evolving, changing environment. We know that. And we know that when stuff changes, it can cause stress and low energy and chaos. But if you can recognize it and deal with it as quick as you can, says me, who hasn't spoken about anything for, it's building up that little bit of fluff. I'm going to deal with that. Okay. I will deal with it after here. Okay. Everybody.
Okay.
I have to, because clearly I'm talking to myself in this whole podcast. But if you can just be aware of stuff, and then you can just pivot and be flexible enough to go, okay, this has worked for 15 years. It's not working in the last month.
Right.
I need to change something.
Exactly.
And you don't have to change straight away. You can just go, I need to change. Let me find some time and energy and space to strategize how to do that. Or
stay present to recognizing the guidance, because oftentimes when we stay present and ask a question or just I have to change, obviously I need to do something like that, I'm laughing at you saying this pivot thing, because the other pivot you could do is pivot somewhere else, live somewhere else, go live somewhere else.
Okay, I'm coming to Canada.
You're coming to Canada.
Yeah. But I think, the only time you don't have to pivot is when you have full governance of your world and you make your own decisions.
Yes.
But no, not one person ever has that. And even Elon Musk, Warren Buffett, those people that, I was going to say Tony Robbins, I'm not going to say him, but the people that some people look up to, nothing wrong with Tony Robbins, I just have to say that. Nobody has 100% governance of their world. No one.
No, because we are a collective after all.
We're all in this together, whether you like it or not.
We are.
Whatever this is, we're all in this together.
A quick wee message before we get back to this episode. You can get access to a special gift Moira and Debz have put together for you. Go to deliciouslymotivatedmindset.com/gift. When you sign up, you'll receive instant access to an inner peace kit and the 30 Days of Wisdom program, both of which is intended to help you feel deliciously motivated right away. Go to deliciouslymotivatedmindset.com/gift.
But I think it has been a year of pivot, and we have had it a boot camp pivot. And when I say that, because we've had it for a long time, but it hasn't been so full on. Right now in the world, no country is got 100% governance.
Yeah.
And we are learning from others and everything. We're learning, we're now online. I'm in New Zealand. Moira's in Canada. Listeners, meaning not you,
all over the world.
You're wherever you are in the world. So we have that we can bring a different perception on our life, our world, our ideas. And this is all just pivoting.
Yeah.
Pivoting, our life
pivoting,
experiences.
But also acknowledging and working with what shows up, as opposed to getting rigid and saying it has to go like this. Right.
Yeah.
Because
I think
changed.
There's systems I don't like. There's systems. So if someone says you need to do this by 4:00 today, I will probably procrastinate as much as it depends if they communicated my values or not. And if it's not inspiring, I'll wait till 5 to 4 to get it done. Right. There's times I do that, like putting assignments in or anything. There's times and I go, why do I do this? It's so much easier if I just got it done. So packing, when I used to travel, I used to travel. I used to travel international. Put it this way, I traveled domestic. When I used to travel international, I would start packing 3 days before in the spare bedroom. My suitcase would be out, and I go, okay, these are the things I need. And then I'd start writing the lists about, and I'd start doing that, and that would just allow me not to panic pack.
Right.
Panic pack, because when you panic pack, there's always things that you leave off, like one sock.
Toothbrush.
Exactly. And so these are the things. So systems drive me insane, but you must have a system, but you must be able to glitter up your system
Mhm.
for you to do it.
Yeah.
If that
That
makes sense.
to have the motivation and the
Yeah.
care to do it well.
Yeah.
Right.
And so when I say about packing and I would start 3 or 4 days earlier, people go, God, I couldn't do that. I couldn't do that. Now my partner will be leaving in an hour's time to go somewhere
Mhm.
and she'll start packing. I'll be like, what? And it would drive me. And I go, well, how do you know you've got everything? She goes, I know I've got everything. I'm like, oh, but how? And I'd have heart palpitations and shakes. And I'd be like, but what? And I'd have to keep it out of her way to get this done. But now she's actually gone, you know what? I like the way Deborah does this. If she can take over a spare bedroom and start packing and do this. So she's make sure she's got. Now, I will say, whenever we go away, she doesn't forget anything.
Right.
But she's so used to doing that whole thing. But I think she possibly has changed because she's seen the panic it has put on me.
Oh, by hers. That's funny. It's like the two of you have rubbed off a wee bit on each other.
So I have to leave the room. I have to go away. I can't go, have you got that? Have you got that? Have you got that? I just have to have trust and faith, which is very low sometimes, that she's got everything she needs. But now she's started to go, okay, well, I can do this. And she's actually said, oh, this is actually much easier. I don't have to think about anything. It's like, oh, yeah, I've got that. Oh, no, I'll put that in there when I've washed that, And
Right.
so all these little things. And so she has definitely up-leveled her capacity for change.
That's a really beautiful way of expressing what we were just talking about having the awareness, because she has the awareness both ways.
Yeah.
Right? The hour before and the 3 days before, and then go, oh, so that's actually a really, really crucial piece to this topic about increasing capacity for change is where's the peaceful route? Where's my sense of ease? Not having Deborah run around like a headless chicken panicking.
And you can imagine, because I used to travel once a month between New Zealand and Australia. So I would have I had a spare bedroom that was literally just my packing room. I was fine with that. But I think she has found it easier and it just streamlines it. But if I told her, if I said, you must pack your bag 3 days before, you must do this, pointy finger, pointy glitter finger, point. I know what I would never have got her to pack 3 days before.
Of course not. And what, like, why nobody deserves to be controlled or manipulated like that either. Just because
it works for me, it doesn't also necessarily mean it's going to work for others. Right. So you have to find, now she may go back, like we're going away in a couple of weeks, so she's going to go back to packing that hour before I know that, because I've just raved about her here.
Just to put it out there.
Yeah, exactly, because that's what happens when you say never. But I think that's the thing, is actually going to, you work what works for you. Today it might work packing 3 days before. Tomorrow it might work just to pack just as you're racing out the door.
Yep.
I changed when we had the Christchurch earthquake, because there was a lot of things. The Christchurch, like, our house was fine. There were definitely some deaths, but not in our street and those close to me. But when I learned that, I then learned you've got to be prepared for whatever. And so that's when I started to pivot or up level my change, and I became a lot more organized. So, when the power was out, we couldn't get into our house because our garage door wouldn't go up.
Oh, I see. Yeah.
So we had no key outside.
Right.
These are just things simple.
That you wouldn't know about that until you were in that kind of situation.
No, but if someone had said to me, oh gosh, did you know that if you have a power cut, and I'd be like, oh, we don't have power cuts in Christchurch. Well, we don't have power. So I wouldn't have registered that. But hearing that, so many people now who have told that story to us, said we couldn't get into the house. So do you have a spare key outside? They're like, oh, that's a good idea. And because I've created it, because I've said it with a story that's relatable and real, it's not one I've read in a textbook. Yeah. It's actually my real life experience that I've expressed that to. They go, oh yeah, we've got a key. So we have 2 keys outside our house. We've got one around the back and we've got one around the front in case somebody takes the key. Now it's a pain in the bum, but if someone takes the key and forgets to return it, we're buggered. If in our new house. But so these are the things that you just, it's not tick boxes, I guess it is a tick box.
It is kind of, But what I really like what you just said is that you're not telling people about increasing their capacity to change. You're actually, like you just said, making it a relatable story that people can feel, oh yeah, I can, that resonates with me.
Well, it's logic. If I said to you, you need to have a key outside in case you couldn't get in or whatever, you go, oh yeah. Like I grew up with that. Oh, like, yeah, great. Yep, whatever.
Thanks.
But I'll when you know that, yeah. And it's funny because Dad actually, I said to Dad, Mum and Dad, or Dad was up here recently, and he left the plug. Now, this is very funny because I talked about the Christchurch earthquake again. Oh dear, what am I going to manifest? Is the plug of the mini oven was in the wall. And I said, oh, Dad, I just unplug it when I don't use it because I had to replace a $400 mini oven when we got the thing from Christchurch, earthquake, and Dad goes, oh, I didn't even think about that sort of stuff. Oh, I'll do that. And I said, yeah, just if you can remember that. Well, Mum and Dad had a fuse, somebody cut the power lines or something near their house, and the mini oven, the jug that Dad had just bought, that was a very expensive jug, and something else blew. And he messaged me and he said, you wouldn't believe what's just happened. He said, I now have to buy over $2,000 worth of appliances. So I just got this message last week about this, and I was just laughing. I said, did you not learn anything, Dad? And he just laughed. He goes, obviously you didn't make it clear enough. And so it became this whole joke. And so as I'm sitting here going, that capacity to change, I obviously didn't make it, Dad. So he must have seen me as me telling him, unplug it. And not like, oh my God, Dad, you do not want to be having to replace this shit if you ever get it. And it wasn't, and he said it wasn't him, it was the, power people, whatever, they cut the power lines and something went down. And but he now has to replace $2,000 worth of appliances, Mum and Dad.
So his capacity to change is way up leveled now.
Yeah. Well, he just bought a new toast and just bought a new kettle, one of those very expensive Smeg ones. So I had to giggle when I hear that story now, because obviously Dad must have heard me as dictating. Dad, unplug that. Nagging or anything like that, instead of saying, Dad, so these are just our capacity to change. Is we get warnings all the time about certain things.
Yeah, we do.
But sometimes we're so in our brain that we don't hear them.
I was just going to say that, stuck in our head, maybe even listening to little stories, like, if it's saying unplug it and in your head, oh, that'll never happen to me.
Well, yeah, never happened. Well, like the garage door. My God. Well, I remember thinking that'll never happen. We don't have power cuts in Christchurch. Like, what the hell? What the heck? Yeah, duh. But they are just and Dad probably just heard me as nagging.
Yeah.
And so it's all around, uplifting our capacity for change. There's definitely change, definitely up level. But be aware that not everyone's going to up level with you. Yeah.
And not to not resist it, because the thing is, it's going to happen. So what would you what would you prefer? Would you like to have a great capacity for it and flow with it, or being sort of like what's that word? Like, just, I'm trying to think of an analogy of it that, the start, stop. Well, it's a wee bit like the
rigid,
but also having that one. That was good for you.
You can see me.
But it's that thing of driving down the road with one foot on the gas and one foot on the brake, and doing that start, stop. Yeah. Well, let's just take that off and increase the capacity.
Yeah, but also be aware that today might be different to tomorrow.
Yes, of course. Your ability to pivot or to embrace change may be different, and I mean, it's okay if the steps that you take today are just tiny baby steps. That's great. And then if tomorrow you start to do a sprint, that's great too. But don't
it goes back to awareness again.
Exactly, and being accepting of what your capacity is in that moment.
Yeah, I love that. And I will also say, I'm going to go back to, if you're going to up level, there is discomfort will potentially happen.
Potentially, yes.
But if you don't see it as discomfort, you just see it as awareness.
Mm-hmm.
Because if we label it discomfort, it's going to be discomfort.
Exactly. So we don't want to have that label to it. But, I don't know about you, but I can have like a little sense of trepidation when dealing with something brand new or setting out on some brand new trajectory. And I might get a little bit of a sense of nervousness in my gut. But I also have this sense of excitement, like, oh, I'm going to discover in the next corner. And so that's what I'm thinking is don't mislabel that as being fear or I
nervous
can't deal
or
with this.
Uncomfortable.
Yeah, or the discomfort part, because we can use those kind of words, but make sure you see the whole piece of it, because it could be a little bit of flutter in your tummy, but what else is there? And you get that by being completely aware in the moment, right?
I think, yes. And I think the thing is also knowing how far you've come.
Yeah.
Knowing that who we were. Oh, yeah, I was like, who would I just talk about that with a gentleman this morning just before we got on our podcast? I was saying who he was 2 years ago is not who he is now, who he was a year ago. I said, even who you were 3 months ago, you're not the same person now. And he's like, no. And I'm like, look how, because he was doing a little bit of beating himself up, like, oh, I haven't done everything I want to do. And I'm like, but look where we were 2 years ago. He's like, yeah. And I said, and you've left the town and you've started a new job and you have a whole new circle of friends and you're now trying to find out what ones work for you and what one don't. Next thing you're going to be doing is decluttering, right. And then he was like, yes.
That's awesome.
And I think acknowledging that, like we talk about improve your capacity for change, that's all about decluttering the people around you as well. Yes. And being okay with that.
Yes.
But also knowing we're all in this transition stage. Everything's transitioning. Every day there's something different. Who you were this morning when you went to bed is different to who you are today. If you eat a whole lot of crap food, you're going to be feeling very differently at nighttime than the day before when you ate a whole lot of nourishing food.
Yeah, healthy stuff. Absolutely. Absolutely. And so it's to never get caught in the rigidity of it has to be this way or have to be operating at a certain level, because that's not about change either.
Yeah. And I think that's the thing, is that we tend to forget who we were 2 years ago, who we were a year ago. Mm-hmm.
So that's actually a really nice way to, like you're saying, to remember that, to then recognize that you actually always are improving or up leveling and expanding that capacity. Yeah, I love that whole piece that you brought into this conversation about the pivot, because that so goes hand in glove with this, right?
It so is. So we're conscious of our time. So is there anything you would like to add, Moira, for the listeners today before we sign off of our improve, up level your capacity for change?
I think the key piece, and we brought this one up so many times, about it's just about being aware. So being aware of how do you roll? What's your propensity for change, dealing with change and setting intentions, and be okay with it. And if you are going to look or compare yourself to others, use that as a guidance as to cherry pick the little pieces that you like. And don't use it as I thought because I'm not doing it that way, or the way that person is, right? So and then also using the rating thing that we do. That's a great way to check in. How resilient to change am I today?
Yeah.
Rate it on 0 to 10, right?
Yeah.
How about you?
How about you? I actually don't need to end on anything. I just love today. Today was really perfect for me to unpack a couple of ideas I had in my head. And you and I haven't spoken for a couple of weeks as well. So, it's nice to get back in that flow of
absolutely
of Moira and and Deb, because I like my Moira and Deb time.
We have to have our time together.
Yeah, we do, definitely.
Mm-hmm.
But I think it's the other thing is just be okay.
Yeah.
Be okay. Be okay with who you are, where you're going, where you've been. Be okay. And gratitude is incredibly important.
It's very
incredibly important.
Yeah.
So in saying that, we're going to wrap today up. So we started off with raving about our topic because it was a goodie. But apart from that, we started off with the numbers. I was a 4.5, Moira was a 2. Listeners, let us know where you were. And now we're going to go back to, after the conversation today, after the topics, after everything, what is your number now? And just be okay with that. So Moira, what's your number?
I'm a 0.
Oh,
I feel really good. I thoroughly enjoyed this whole. We've kind of hinted at it. I've been going through some massive changes and got a huge capacity to deal with change.
Yeah.
But no, I really enjoyed today's conversation. How about you?
Well, I actually thought I was going to cry on today's call. I thought today's podcast, I'm not going to cry. But I'm going to say I'm a 2.
Okay.
So I've gone for a 4.5 or 2. I've just got a couple of things to deal with, but they're not actually to deal with like heavy deal with. They're just a couple of things. So I'll go have a conversation with my partner at the end of this and just do a couple of things. But I feel actually probably even a 1. I feel quite invigorated. I feel invigorated about my day. And if the tears were to come, because I feel they're sitting there, they're more gratitude tears.
Excellent.
Oh, here they come. I can feel them already. They're more gratitude tears for amazing possibilities that I can talk to Moira and I can share the stuff and we can get some amazing tips.
It's beautiful.
Oh, yeah. There we go.
It's beautiful.
So thank you, listeners. Do let us know what number you're at. That would be great. Yeah, I'm definitely a 1. I'm definitely a 1.
Okay. Yes, you're at a 1.
Yeah. So thank you, Moira. Thank you, listeners. Do let us know your number. And that's us over and out for today's Improve or Up Level Your Capacity for Change.
Awesome. Thanks, Debz. Thanks, listeners.
Thanks.
We'll catch you next time.
Bye.
Bye.